All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Denanu, and with this video here, we're going to be talking about the Halo TV series here, and I'm just going to give my opinions on it, good, bad, and indifferent, and we're just going to talk about it here. And going from here, I'm probably going to do, I guess you could say, mini episode reviews for the later episodes. But so far, we have 3 episodes to this. And this is the alternate reality, I guess you can call Halo TV show that they're making for Paramount Plus. And after 3 episodes, it saddens me to say, but as a fan of the material, it's not good. Definitely it's not good. The writing is subpar. The visuals are okay-ish, I would say. The lore and what you would expect of a Halo show is thrown out the window. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's just not good overall. And in the first episode, they removed Chief's helmet and stuff like that. So there goes that, which is like a huge hurdle with the TV, show, because that's the big thing about Halo is Master Chief is the helmet, not necessarily a face, he has a character and stuff, even though it's not greatly explored in the games, but in the side materials, the books, the comics, that kind of sort of stuff, it's heavily explored, but with this, they just threw all of that out the window in the first episode and had him remove his helmet and show kind of weird character growth. It's like, this feels like they started in the middle of a season. That's what it feels like. And it's like, I get it. They have 9 episodes to work from, right? So I think it's in the writing room. I think it's like they had to hit check boxes. I feel like for the story that they wanted to tell, it's like, okay, we have 9 episodes. What story do we want to tell? Oh, Master Chief, this artifacts, Quan, the Covenant. It's like, I feel like it's a lot. So they basically took elements of what makes Halo Halo, and they just mashed them together in a 9 episode TV show. That's what it feels like so far, because there's no backstory, there's no explanation to a lot of the characters, there's no lore, no world building. It's just, we're jumping in right expecting to know who all the the players are, and you cannot do that. I mean, as somebody who's a fan of Halo, and I'm the nerd that they want to appeal to. I played all of the games. I've read probably half the books. I think the last book I read was probably, when did Halo 5 come out? I think it was like the book that came with Halo 5, or maybe the one before that. But it seems like they're taking bits and pieces from certain key things that sound good, and then they're making Halo out of it, or making the TV show out of it. That's what it sounds like, YouTube. It doesn't really bode well for good writing. It really doesn't. I'm glad that they're taking elements from the books, because I think they have the rubble in there. They mention that by name. It's a little bit different than how it was in the books, because there's no there's no jackals there, So certain things about this show I like, this battle that's on screen introducing the Covenant and Silver Team and all of that. That was decent. That part of the first episode, that's what got me in the door. I'm like, okay, I could see more of this, UNSC versus the insurrectionists. They don't explain why the insurrectionists don't like the UNSC. Big plot device there that they just kind of don't touch on no more. But as far as like humanity's reaction to the Covenant, it's like the Covenant doesn't exist. They're like myth. The UNSC know they exist, but it's like nobody else has seen them or nothing. So it's like there goes that plot hole out the window. Um, well, not plot hole. I guess you could say story beat out the window. World building, I guess you could say. Um, but even with Chief Silver Team and Chief's plot line of getting emotions, you know, it just falls flat. It really does. This show would have been better, and this is just my opinion. If you didn't have the budget, because I'm assuming that's why we don't have more battles, you know. Well, reportedly they're making each episode for like $10 million or something like that. I don't know how much that is to make a CG heavy TV show. I don't know how much that stuff costs. I know it's a lot of money, but if you don't have enough money to do Halo, then don't do it. How about that? Or better yet, if you had that stick up your ass and you really wanted to do Halo, what they could have did was, instead of this being about Master Chief, Silver Team, and these Halo artifacts, what they really should have did, YouTube, what they really should have did, and this is just my personal opinion, if you don't want to explain a lot of the Halo stuff, let's say, because this doesn't feel like they read the books or played the games at all. This feels like they went on Wikipedia and was like, what is Halo? And made this show. What they should have did was, this first season should have been about, let's say, the UNSC fighting the insurrectionists. Maybe have it be about an ODST drop team, you know, instead of Master Chief and Silver Team and all that. And what they could have did was, this could have been a military drama like they have on TV, like with the unit, the one with Angel in it. I forget what that one is. I think SEAL Team. You know, they make military dramas for TV. You could have this first season be a military drama about a 4 or 5 man fire team that are ODSTs in the UNSC, getting dropped into different battles and the trials and tribulations of what it means to be a soldier in this sci-fi world, right? And you could do that. You could have them showing the insurrectionists, why the UNSC hates the insurrectionists. You could have dirt on both sides. Maybe the insurrectionists are bombing, you know, UNSC facilities, killing civilians, and you could have the UNSC doing whatever it can to gather control for the outer colonies and stuff like that, because that's a part of Halo 2. That's all of the stuff pretty much before the Covenant get there, right? And you can have all of that happen, and then like the last episode, your season finale, you could have the Covenant show up, and you could have the elites kill off this ODST Black Ops team, just completely kill them all, you know, make them have a good fight or whatever, but show that the Covenant have so much technological superiority, and then just have them crush the ODSTs to where like all hope is lost, and end that on your first season, right? But in between certain episodes and stuff, you can drop hints of like, oh, I've heard rumors that a Spartan team is just doing such and such and such, and you can have the ODSTs talk back and forth like, what's a Spartan? And, you know, because nobody should know, you know, so it's like they're guessing as far as what this is, and you could be like, I don't know, maybe a Spartan is a new type of drone that they have, or maybe it's a new type of machine or something, or I've heard they were, you know, cybernetically enhanced soldiers, or I heard they were this, I heard they were that, and you can play on that, right? And you can have like them get to, let's say, certain areas. Let's say like if Master Chief and his team came to a planet to do something, and let's say they blew up a base or, you know, did something, you can have the ODSTs get there after the fact as like, oh, we want you to scour any technology or something. They'd be like, why are they sending us here? We already have our technology. And then you could play on that idea, and then you could have everything be like completely destroyed, right? And then have them be like, oh, what weapon do we have that could do this? I don't know. You know, this isn't a bomb that did this. And you could just make everything look super messed up because the Spartans were just that good. And then, like I said, at the end, you could kill off the ODST team, And then you can start season 2 because they already greenlit a season 2. Then you can start into who are these Spartans? And then it could jump to Master Chief being the main character and all of these other people, right? And then you can have the UNSC talking about, oh, who are the Covenant? We don't know nothing about this alien race. And then you can go into, let's say, Oni explaining like, oh, we've known about the Covenant for a while now. It's just that nobody's ever seen them. We have to take out this threat, and that could start where the games pick up off. And then you can do that. And it's just, they could have did so much with this. And that's why it makes me so heated to talk about it. It's like they fucked up horribly. This show could have been the shit if they did it right, but they didn't. They could have shown Earth. They should have could have shown New Mombasa. They could have showed all the stuff that you get in the books. Maybe Sarge. Hell, bring in Sarge from the games and make him. I mean, if they wanted to, this is a different universe, right? Make him the leader of the ODST team and stuff like that. Bring in everybody who likes fucking Sarge. Have him be the black man, have him be, what's his name? What 𝐸, I think, from Aliens, the character he's based off of. Get a black guy that looks somewhat similar to that guy. Maybe that guy if he's not too old, even though he probably is. Have him be cussing people out, chewing a cigar, and have it be that, or if you wanted to, let's say, if you wanted to explain more of his backstory along with the ODST stuff, you can make him a part of an ODST team, but mention like, hey, I was part of this previous thing called this previous project that didn't really go nowhere, but and then he could be your newcomer to this team of ODSTs. Let's say just to have interpersonal drama with that, you can have the previous commander of the team get killed. And it's like, okay, now they're bringing in Sarge to be the new leader and the team doesn't trust them. And you can do that whole trope if you wanted to do that. And then, let's say at the end of the season, like I mentioned before, kill the ODSTs. You can kind of sort of hint that Sarge is dead. If you wanted to keep him around, you can wipe out the team and then kind of make it look like he didn't die, but then bring him back at like the end of season 2 as be like, no, he made it some kind of way. If you wanted to do that, or just kill him off for shock value. They could have did a lot, YouTube, and then they could have told whatever story that they wanted to, because then up until that is Halo. You're explaining the before the Covenant, and then season 2 could be about how do we take down the Covenant? Humanity's getting wiped out, and you can show the colonies getting destroyed and planets getting glassed while having Silver Team and Master Chief do their Spartan stuff. And then you can have the UNSC feel the urgency of like, oh, this is they could wipe us out. We have nothing against this. Then you could show that. And then you can, if you wanted to tell the story about this artifact or whatever, you could do that. Right. And at that point, you don't have to explain Chief's backstory because we've already got hints of what he was doing before in season 1. And then in season 2, you could do, I wouldn't say take off his helmet in the first episode. That's just stupid. In my opinion, you have to build the mystique of that character first, because the Mandalorian did it. Like, this show doesn't have no excuse to take off his helmet. It really doesn't, unless it's just in what's the guy's name? Pablo Schreiber. I know him. I just know his face as the Muscle, because in a lot of movies, he always plays not the main character, but the muscle or the right hand man of somebody. Usually the type of action movie character to be not the main person in charge, but you have the main person in charge, and then you have the bigger muscle person next to him who's like emotionally disturbed, who's like a little bit off, who just wants to kill people. Usually that's the kind of character he played. I've seen him in like 2 or 3 movies where he played similar people like that. So he's a good actor. I mean, I don't hate him. But unless it was something in his contract where it's like, okay, if I'm doing this TV show, I have to show my face, because that's what they do in Marvel movies. And I think another reason why they do it is so that you can emote. Because if you're wearing a superhero mask, or let's say in Master Chief's case, a helmet, you can't emote. Or let me not say that. You can, because they did it in The Mandalorian. They just don't want to. That's what it is. It's like people, I guess, feel more comfortable looking at a human face because I guess it's human nature. But the games did it just fine. Master Chief emotes in the games. You can emote with your mannerisms and have somebody not see your face. You can do that. But for whatever it is, Hollywood just doesn't like that whenever they do movies and TV shows and stuff. It sucks because that's part of who Master Chief is. You have to have that, in my opinion, and then you can build off that. So unless, like I mentioned before, unless it was something in his contract where he's just like, oh, I'm going to show my face if I'm going to be in this. But then again, if that's the case, why hire that actor? You know, go with somebody who's going to be like, look, no, this is the character that we're doing, and then hire you to play that character. You're going to be a face behind a mask 90% of the time. I felt like that would be better. I felt like with this, since I know he's tall, I think that's why they probably hired him. He's not a well-known actor, but he played some stuff and he's tall. That's probably as far as that went. Because his name isn't gonna bring fans to the table unless there's probably some fans of his. It's not like, he's not Tom Cruise, he's not Will Smith, he's not a big name actor out there, so it's not gonna draw in a lot of people, Hell, the biggest star I've seen in this is Bokeem Woodbine. I've been watching his stuff since Caught Up. A movie he played back in like 94, 95, 93, something like that. I've been a fan of his my whole life. But he's the biggest star in this, and most people probably don't know his name. They probably know him. Oh, that's the black guy that was in the Spider-Man movie, or that's the guy from this movie and that movie. But most people probably don't know who he is. And it just boggles my mind that I know I'm not the only one who sees the potential of what a Halo show can be. Like, they could have made this into a new Star Trek. Well, let me not say that, because Paramount Plus, they don't know what the fuck they're doing with Star Trek. So let me not say that well, they can make old Star Trek. That's what I'm trying to say. Because new Star Trek kind of sucks with Picard and Discovery and stuff like that. So I know a lot of fans don't like the new Star Trek. So let me not say new Star Trek, but this could have been old Star Trek. Let's say how Voyager and Next Generation went from planet to planet. You had space battles and all of that stuff, right? That could have been this. You have Master Chief, Silver Team be like your boots on the ground away team, right? And then during space battles, you can have the fleet battles that humanity has with the Covenant, and you can show how that, every time we fight the Covenant in space, their technology's too good. They're wiping us out. And you can show the resource drain on the UNSC and ONI and stuff. It's like there's so much they could have did, YouTube. But I feel like the writing was just absolutely, completely ass. And I'm not even a writer. I'm just a fan of sci-fi. I can think of all these things. As fans, we can all create a Halo show with speculations and stuff like that and ideas that they could have did. But they just didn't do it. Like, if you didn't have the budget to do that, fine. Like I mentioned before, have it be Chief and Silver Team or an ODST team, boots on the ground. Let's say don't show the space stuff. Show it maybe once a season, twice a season, something like that, just to show that they exist. But just have this be like a boots on the ground type show, and you can explain, the stuff and story in that boxed context. They could have did that. They didn't. Like, I feel like somebody wanted to do how do we deconstruct Master Chief? You don't have to deconstruct him. You can have him be one way and have your story revolve around him and what he has to do. Let's say if this show was about Master Chief, his ideals as a Spartan being a military weapon, and then growing out of that, that's what I feel like that's like they want to get to, but it would have more weight and impact if they waited. Let's say, like, if you did what I mentioned, where you have ODST, you have that be your season 1, the start of the Covenant War, what is Master Chief, the struggle of them fighting the Covenant, have that be your season 2. End it off on a really good note too. You could have something happen where, like, let's say the Covenant Glass Reach, that ONST, planet and city, the head of the UNSC. That was the first thing they showed in the show, and as soon as I seen it pop up there in the corner, I'm like, that's just not right. I know Reach was like one of the big military planets and stuff, but it wasn't the head of the UNSC. That was Earth, you know? So I was like, So even like the first thing that they showed in the show, as a fan, I'm like, it's like it's rubbing me the wrong way already. It's the first thing I'm seeing. But it's that they could have did so much. That's what I'm trying to say. And I feel like by them rushing to trying to get to the emotional deconstruction part of Master Chief, the UNSC, and all of that, like I mentioned before, that would have had so much weight. Like if this season was about that, but let's say that was season 3, after you've established the lore of the world, after you've established Chief and his team and who all the players are, Halsey and all of that, Cortana, then you could have jumped into that. And then that's how you could end, let's say, season 2. Let's have a major point happen. Let's say the Covenant find these artifacts and they take you to a Halo ring, or let's say they activated a Halo ring in, let's say, one specific galaxy, because they have to show you what it is, you know? So let's say if you wanted to end on a really bad note, let's say there's a hidden Halo ring in the universe or in the galaxy where Reach is. And instead of, let's say, glassing Reach, I mean, you could show the Covenant doing that, but let's say they glass the city. Let's say they glass the major city and kill billions of people, but the planet still has billions more on it. And then at the end of the season, you can have them the artifact leads them to a Halo ring in the galaxy where Reach is, have them activate it, right? And have like Master Chief and everybody try to stop them, but then realize that they can't. And then it's like, okay, then let's go to escaping, and they warp out of there, right? Like in Star Trek, where they just leave explosions and planets blowing up. You can have that happen and then show the galaxy where Reach is just get destroyed, right? And then at the last little bit, you can have, you know, let's say Halsey or whoever, Master Chief, whatever, or Cortana be like, oh, we found another one, or there was more than one. We thought it was only one, but realized there was like, no, there's more, you know, and then just have like a list and show like 30 of them or something like that. And then you can be like, oh shit. And then you can realize what the Covenant are trying to do. And then if you wanted to go into another season of them trying to stop the Covenant and the Covenant activating all the rings at once to wipe out everything, then you can do that and have that. I think that would be a better show. And you can show all the ins and outs. You can show the characters through backstories and flashbacks. You can show the rubble, kind of like how they did here. I like how they did it. It's like the people who want to get away from the UNSC and the rules and stuff, kind of like how the rebel was, because it was mostly insurrectionists. And except in the book, they were working with the jackals to mine the rubble, and they kind of had like a coexisting relationship with them and stuff like that. So I feel like this could have been better. As a fan, if I could think of all of that, I know as a writer, it's like I could have done that too, since that's your job. You write. But I guess, like I keep mentioning in all of my videos when I talk about reviewing stuff, writing fucking sucks nowadays. I don't get it. Like, I really don't. This could have just been far better than what it was, and I just have a feeling, like, I know they already announced the season 2, like they announced that right after coming out. So it's like they already had that plan, you know. Usually when you hear about a show, it's like, oh, its first episode came out, and it'd be like, oh, we already announced the season 2. That doesn't mean your first episode is good. You know, that doesn't mean your show is good. That just means that everybody tuned in during the first episode, because it's like everybody's gonna tune in because it's fucking Halo, you know. So I don't think that means that the show is super good, that they've already announced the season 2. That just means that Paramount or whoever's bankrolling this show is overzealous. You know, they think it's going to be really good when it's not. So if they do continue to make a season 2, I think it's gonna, I mean, unless this ends on like a super high note, which I doubt based on what I'm seeing so far, I feel like this is going to peter out. I feel like they're trying to tell too many story beats in a 9-episode show and not explaining shit. Like, it's so many things that I'm seeing in here that are just wrong, but just stupid and piss poor writing. Like, I forget what they call it in writing, where you have to stick to the rules that you set up in your universe in order for the audience to be like, oh, that makes sense in this context that I'm seeing it in. I forget what they call that. There's a term specifically for that. This show does not do that. Like in Star Trek, if you go back and watch Next Generation, you know how teleporters work. You know how phasers work. You know how the ships work. You know that they have warp drives. You know they have nacelles. There's all that science jargon that they bullshit and say in those episodes. They usually say that science jargon to try to explain something that doesn't exist. But in the context of, oh, if I know this make-believe bullshit thing, if I know warp drive makes ships go to warp factor 1 through 10 or 1 through 9, then it's like, okay, I know what a warp drive is. That establishes in that universe, like, okay, I know what that's used for. I know what this is used for. In this, you have Cortana being an implant in Master Chief's brain, which I guess is fine. I mean, because it's like I said, it's the whole new universe. Like, I personally don't like that idea because she's not separate in that frame of mind. Because like just to go off on a quick tangent, Cortana in the games and the books is an artificial construct. She is data. You know, she is a data. I mean, if you want to say data life form, that's what she is. She exists in the chip that Master Chief puts in the back of his helmet. That's why you see that chip in all the games. That's why you see him take his hand and put it in the back of his helmet, because Cortana doesn't go into his brain. You know, that's not what it does. But it connects with the helmet, which links to implants and other things in his mind. So Cortana can adjust his reaction time and access things and show him things and put the HUD on the screen and all that. So it's really interacting with, she's interacting with the helmet, which connects to him in that regard, not implanted directly into his brain. But if you wanted to say, fine, let's do that, the bullshit explanation they have is like, okay, they put her on a chip. They made her a brain implant, which I think, like I said, I don't like that idea, but it's fine. But then she's projecting herself all over the place. How? If anything, only Chief would be able to see her because she's connected to his mind. I don't think they explained that. Okay, if you wanted to explain, like, okay, the station has cameras and holographic emitters, and Star Trek, going back to that, because they explain how holograms work in that, they could have did the same thing in this. They could have said, like, oh, we got hologram emitters everywhere so people can do all the weird Tony Stark shit with all the tech, right? And you can explain that, oh, Cortana has access to these, so whenever she pops up in a room, that's the holographic emitter. You know, show her coming out of a camera or a part of the wall. Make a part of the wall look like a camera or a projector or something. Have it be a panel or something that you see in scenes. And whenever somebody does something with a hologram, you could have that project from that and show that. And then you could say, okay, Cortana has access to the system, so that's how she's projecting herself so other people can see her. But they didn't do that. So when you have Master Chief in this projecting, talking to, you know, her, and then you have Master Chief walk up to his other Silver Team Spartan members and Cortana just pop out and be like, hi, I'm Cortana, I'm this and I'm this. And Chief being super butthurt, I didn't tell you to turn on, turn off, you know, and do that whole scene that they showed. That could have made sense, because with the way that they have it in this, how are the other Spartans able to see Cortana at all? I mean, I can understand if they were hearing audio clips, but she's visibly in front of them. So is she projecting herself through Chief's eyes? How? Physically impossible. You know, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And there's a lot of things like that. You like have the human girl working with the Covenant. What the fuck? Doesn't make any kind of sense, because the Covenant want to wipe out humanity. You know, they want to wipe out all, you know, life. That's the great journey, you know, from Halo. They wouldn't be working with humans. They don't need humans. I think they only need humans to activate Forerunner tech. So until they find Forerunner tech that they can't activate, that's when I think they would have kidnapped somebody. Like, that's how I think that should have played out. You know, don't just start with, even worst case, a human in the same position as the prophets. Fucking no. Like, that's just stupid. And it's like, I get why they do it. It's probably because you don't want to CG the prophets every time, because that costs money. Well, write your show around that. Don't show them. How about that? Have them just be face behind the screen or a monitor hologram of their face talking to the Covenant. You know, like good writers write around the limitations of what they set in a movie or a TV show and make it make sense. Bad writers just put a bunch of shit out there, don't explain shit, and they're not good enough to work around problems when they pop up. That's just me being honest. This show does not have good writers, because otherwise, even if I didn't agree with the story they wanted to tell, right? This story would have been told competently. You know, they would have got it all out there. They would have explained it. It would have made sense. It would have explained who everybody was, what the story was, and the plot of the show. And it would have been good. But like, so far, the only good things I like about the show is I like the fact that it showed elites being badasses. I like the fact that, I mean, I wish they were blue team, but silver team looks cool on screen. I will say that. It should have been blue team, though. Because you already have the one chick. You already have Kelly. You have the other sniper chick. I think her name was Linda, I think. And then you have Fred. You know, make the big black guy Fred. There you go. It's fucking blue team. You know, maybe add the other, guy in there too if you wanted to. But if you just wanted to make it a 4-man fire team with Chief and those 3, there you go. A prime example. I'm going to see if I can find it. But in this clip here, I'm probably going to put it up on screen somewhere over here. I'm going to show you a clip of blue team being badasses. And you can have them do shit like that. But it's just like, they don't do that. It's like they could have did like this. They could have did so much, YouTube. And it's like, I feel like they just dropped the ball. It's like, we want to make a Halo TV show and have it be good, but we don't have the budget to make it good. So we're just going to make it however you make it. And I don't like that idea. Like, that's shit. Like, no, don't do it. If you can't do it competently, then don't do it. Make something else. Do a spinoff of Halo. Like I said, make it an ODST show, a military drama about ODSTs and war in this sci-fi future, fighting other humans or something. Do that. That'd have been far cheaper. Don't show Chief. Don't show the Covenant. Have it be about something else. But it's like, I feel like they just, didn't do that. They just did what they did, and it's gonna be shit. And I'm reading a lot of comments and stuff, not on other people's YouTube videos, but sometimes I go on Facebook, wherever you see the show being advertised, right? And I'll read the comments on certain videos and certain ads and stuff like that. And some Halo fans are like, well, I don't really love it, but I like the fact that they're doing something with Halo. I'd rather see it done than not done. And I'm like, oh, you fucking cowards. That's the reason why we get this bullshit to begin with. It's like, no, stop willing to settle for, mediocre bullshit. That's why they make it. It's like, do you think Activision and the people who make Call of Duty and try to make it good for the sake of like a good quality game? Fucking no. They just make it because they realize they don't have to change shit and because people buy it. This could have been so much better if they went into it thinking like, oh, we're making Star Trek. We're at the beginning of a new Star Trek type show. Have that be your quality bar and then go from there. But instead it's like, no, we're just making a dumb video game TV show so we can do anything that we want and have it be bullshit. That's what I feel that they did. And it's not good. It's like, like I mentioned before, the only things I like out of it is Master Chief being a Spartan with his Spartan team and them during the combat segments. Like this segment in the background showing the Hunter Worms fighting, the UNSC. That was cool. I like that scene. Everything with Quan and Bokeem Woodbine back at the rubble doesn't matter. That doesn't have anything to do with Chief, the artifact, with the UNSC figuring out fighting the Covenant. That don't have shit to do with that. So why is that in the show? A good writer would make that be your, let's say they find the artifact in the rubble when they're digging and mining those asteroids. How about that? And then you can have that be like your civilian thing. Like the Covenant are going to arrive at the rubble and they're going to kill everybody. And the UNSC's like, well, well, this could be our chance to wipe out the insurrectionists if that's where their headquarters is. You know, we don't have to defend them. And then you can have Chief and Silver Team or whatever break orders to go help people in the rubble, since Bokeem Woodbine used to be his friend. You know, you could have it make sense that way and have that be Chief's guilty moment where if like, oh, I didn't help you before, but I'm going to help you now to make up for that 5 minutes that he gave him when he left the UNSC. You know, it's like, it's easy to tie together, YouTube. I'm not even a writer and I could think of that, but it's like, the fuck? You know, it's like they just make bullshit nowadays. I don't know. Let me stop rambling. Like how long have we been doing this video? 35 minutes. Okay, yeah, let me stop. But anyways, YouTube, that's just my thoughts on the Halo TV series. On the first 3 episodes as a whole of, you know, what I'm seeing wrong with it and what I like, dislike, and all that stuff. And so far, I mean, I'm going to watch the rest of the episodes because, like I said, I'm the prime audience for this. I'm going to still watch it. You're going to hear about it, but I don't have my hopes up. I just have a feel it's going to peter out. We're going to get more interpersonal BS with the characters that don't matter. And I don't think they have a budget to really do the show that they want, or that we would want. So they're just going to make whatever that they could do. But we'll see. We'll see if this series ends on a high note or not. I doubt it. If I had to give it a rating, I'd say episodes 1 through 3. I mean, if I just had to give it a rating, let's say 1 out of 10 for me, I'd say it's probably going to be a 6. You know, it's not that good. It's not great. It's not super fucking excellent. It's just, I wouldn't even call it average. It's like, I guess, average bullshit. That's what I would call it. So let's say 5, you know, but I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6 for it trying to do something with Chief and Cortana and all of that. But yeah, we'll see if they can pull it out and pull that Hail Mary pass and end the show in a good note. Who knows, but we'll see. So, all right, YouTube, let me know down below. What are your comments on the Halo TV show so far? What are your likes and dislikes? Let me know down below, and maybe we can argue, have a discussion, have a rant war down in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.